Hi, it is now Friday, March the 4th. So, March the 4th with you. Um, Today, it's getting close to weekend, and I've been thinking a little bit, and I guess we all have these last few days reflected on what's happening in the world these days. And as we see the situation today, maybe you've seen your friends or people that you know or co-workers, they've been ramping up and and organized support for this difficult situation, especially when it comes to the military invasion in Ukraine these days, and all the people running for their lives. It's tough days and it's a really hard situation. And many of us, we might not ever have experienced the war. Some of us might have experienced war or some kind of trauma in our lives, and this situation triggers maybe some of those experiences. And maybe we're not sure what can we do. We feel helpless. This is like world politics. It's not something we kind of have an idea maybe how to deal with or even think about or what should, but at least we might have an opinion, which is good. um, and sometimes we think, what can I do in this situation today? Is there anything I can do? um, and many of us probably just watch the TV or internet and see all these different news and kind of, what can we do? And maybe feel sad about it and feel worried. What if this is true? If it's going to be like a World War III? These are thoughts that maybe many of us are thinking these days, and for good reasons. I mean, who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? Still, we don't know, and but we can at least hope for the best and hope that there are smart people who are able to help resolve this conflict somehow. We just let's hope for the best. And I thought I could share my thoughts around this today with you. And for some years, many years back, I was myself on the run in a different country, in a different continent, as it were, from an abusive husband, both psychologically and physically. And I ran out of the house just in what I was wearing, with nothing, basically. And I ended up being on the run for 10 days. And I was lucky, because I had friends immediately wanting to help me and said, of course, come and sleep in our guest room, or we have an apartment for you. They were taking care of me, and I felt really surrounded by love and care. And they will help me to find a place to sleep. They help me to go to the shop. And what do you buy if you are running out of your house with whatever you're wearing? You can't buy everything that you had in your previous house, of course, but what do you do? What do you have to have for that first night? So toothbrush and a brush. That's sometimes a toothpaste that can be a good beginning. Uh, and the reason why I'm telling you this is not because what I experienced. What I hope is that my experience helps me understand uh, maybe just part of what people are experiencing these days, because it can't be experienced. I mean, it can't be compared with whatever people who are running for their lives in a war situation. It's just, you can't imagine that feeling. But I think I can maybe understand a little bit about it. And experiences, we can't compare an experience with an experience, but we can at least try and understand and try to understand. um, and the reason I'm telling you my background is that I feel I can understand a little bit of some of the what's going on in the minds and hearts of these people who are experiencing these traumatic events happening now. Um, and I was, like I said, I was lucky. I got help, and things are happening. As I mentioned, things are happening when you are in that flight situations, and also things are happening when you are in a safe spot, whether that is with other people or another place where you feel you can be at least relatively safe. Then other mechanisms they are setting into motion, so to speak. Um, so these are different things are happening, and I think it's important to try to take care of each other these days, to try to understand the situation. And that's what I see when so many people are now organizing trucks and buses and collecting clothes and collecting money, which is all really good, and it's lovely and heartwarming to see that so many people really care enough to that just close down work, go down there and help people who really are in a tough spot. So that just shows that the world is a good place. Most people, they want good. um, I think these days it's really important to differentiate between politics and what the big guys are deciding, and regular people like you and me. Um, because people in Russia, people in Ukraine, none of them have asked for this situation. I mean, nobody in their right mind asked for a situation like this. And it's really, really terrible. And what we don't need is to escalate difficult situations. And I think it's really important to take care of those people that we have around us. If we have people from Russia or Ukraine or whatnot, wherever they're from, please don't let them pay for what other people have decided to do, especially for children. Unfortunately, I read in the news that I see children are being bugged and teased because they're Russians or wherever they might come from. Please don't do that. It's just don't do that. Let's take care of each other. And if you parents, if you are parents with children in school, please talk with them and listen to your children, because like we have an expression in Norway saying little pots have big ears. Um, and these children, they see and they talk between each other, mind you, they do. And they might not see the world as we see it, and they might have a kind of wild imagination as well. So it's important to listen to what are they thinking about this, and to listen, let them talk about it, and give them words to explain how they are feeling. It's really important. And also make sure that your children don't tease anyone else because of whatever reason. Just don't tease others. That should be a given, but unfortunately kids do that, and we just have to help them to find better ways, um, to talk with each other and find out about disagreements. And when it comes to disagreements, and in these days there's so much different opinions in social media, which is okay. I mean, let's people have different opinions. And I think what is important for us, we don't have to agree with what people are saying. We don't have to like what they're saying, but let us try to respect each other, meet each other with respect and with love. Because respect means actually to see twice. If you look up the Latin word of specter, then you will see. And respect, or specter means see, and respecter means see again. So that is one thing I read yesterday, kind of nice. But in any way, it's about seeing again. It means if I listen to you, let me listen to you, and not listen to wait till it's my turn to say something, but listen till and reflect on what you are trying to tell me. It's really important to stop and listen, not just to listen to answer. So please, let's take care of each other. And what can you do? I mean, maybe you see your colleague or friend or brother or sister or whoever you know, maybe go ahead and travel down to Poland or Ukraine or wherever other places in the country, because there are also other wars in other parts of the world, unfortunately, today. Maybe they are running and you feel, okay, they're so clever, they're so good. What I do means nothing. Well, it does. Because when there's a crisis, it's really important to keep the wheels turning, to keep business as usual. because it's so not all of us can go to the front, if you want to call it like that. Not all of us can be in one place at the same time, because every piece of us, everything that we do is important. So if you are, maybe just look around you. If you want to do more than what you regularly do, reach out to some clubs in the nearby. Maybe there's a sports or kids club that needs support, any volunteer organizations that might need support. Maybe you have neighbors that need help for shopping. I mean, there could be so many different things that you can reach out, and if you want to do something more than you already do. And the thing is, if your colleagues are now traveling to different places of the world to help uh, make a difficult situation less difficult, what you can do is to help your colleague. Help, maybe he or she has some activities and tasks that has to wait till they come back. But if you can help doing some of these, then you are just as important. I mean, in any case, you are just as important as they are. We all are important. And we also need somebody to be in the back and to be at home and making sure that things are working, things are up to date, that everything is working as it should. So every action, every activity that you can do is just as good and just as important as anyone else is doing. Remember that you are important. And the good thing is that now we can meet each other with respect. And it's a good thing that I love that people are organizing themselves and collecting clothes and collecting money and whatnot. But still, at the same time, remember there are some a volunteer organization who are already prepared for crisis, like Red Cross and the refugee organizations. All of these, they have a system. And what happens if they are using their system, and in addition, all of these volunteers ad hoc are coming in, and it causes traffic jam, and maybe it's not the right thing to bring into this constellation. So it's not too good if too many are just running head over heels down there, because you need to have it kind of aligned and make sure that it's the right help reach people where they need it. Really important. So it's not to diminish what people are doing, because it's fantastic. I just admire people who can drop everything and just go. It's like, wow, that is fantastic. But still, what if you can do things at home and do around you, that is just as important. Just remember that. And it can be just anything. And one other thing that can be good to remember is that there are people among us who have experienced the war already, as I said in the beginning. Some have been through traumatic experiences. Maybe they've been years and years in war situation, and even been refugees and run away and maybe lost their home, everything. And when we are now watching these news from afar, these experiences will come back to you, and it can trigger different kinds of uh, what do you call it? Different way of behavior. Maybe some are withdrawing themselves. Maybe they are getting quiet, and you don't hear anything from them. Maybe check if they're okay. And maybe go for a visit, or invite them for a visit, and let's just go for a walk or have a cup of tea or coffee, paint together, whatever, but and not necessarily talk about the event maybe or the trauma, because that can be just doubling it up and just be an extra toll. But of course, if they want to talk about it, then they should be able to talk about it, but maybe they just need to think of something else, and do something fun, do something that celebrates life. So do that together with your friends. Or maybe even you might experience some people who are just becoming difficult these days. They're aggressive, and they're not quite themselves, and you don't understand what's happening with them. It could be that there are some previous trauma that is triggered, and worries that is triggered by this situation. So just give an extra slack, give some room to, and try to meet people with understanding and tolerance, and see, all right, I see you kind of not yourself today. Anything I can do for you? Ask people something like that. Or maybe we should go for a walk together. then it might be coming, or that might just help. You never know. Just a small act can have a big difference. Another thing, I can talk a lot. I have so many things I want to talk about, but well, not to keep you too long on a Friday. But one thing that I think is important is for companies, if you're a leader or not a leader, you can ask your leader, uh, what is your emergency response in your company? Have you prepared? What's your plans? What do we do if something wrong happens? Have you remembered to add your newest phone number into the HR system, for instance? Just such a little thing can have a huge difference. So make sure that you have your contact details up to date, and even write them down in a little book. So for those people closest to you, because we never remember phone numbers these days, do we? So write maybe a few down, so then you have them in case of emergency. It's always important to have some kind of backup. And if you haven't got a proper, if it's a while ago since you had your emergency response in your companies up to date, do it now. There's no better time than now. Just get it up to date, and maybe do some fire drills or emergency drills, whatever you might think is suitable for your team, and talk with your colleagues. Maybe set up some extra time and just talk about how are people doing, and what they're thinking these days. It's important, because when there are tough times, we stand together, and it's always better. We can do anything as long as we stand together. So with this, take care of each other, be large in the sense that give each other some space and room, and pay attention to each other, and any action you can do is good. You are big, you have a big value. So that's all for me. And oh, by the way, if you wonder what kind of library I moved into right now, this is the library in Crane. It's called Scientific House or something. It's really interesting. So maybe one day we can go and visit this library and read the books in here, right? That would be quite exciting. I hope I can do that someday. So I love books. You can never have enough of books. So, and libraries, there's so many beautiful libraries in the world. So maybe you should have a trip around the world and see all the most beautiful ones. But you take care, and stay safe in the weekend. And let's hope for some good days moving forward. Take care. Bye.